Hey everybody, it's Clint Rawls with Delta Valves and Controls. Today we got a video on a Garzo. It's a spring and diaphragm actuator used for, I believe, some type of damper vane. We're going to be mounting a Siemens PS2 smart positioner. It's kind of a custom mounting. I don't know of any companies out there that really make this. So anyhow, we did this custom for one of our customers. Some of the parts, this is all the components of the mounting kit here. You got the connecting blocks, got the mounting bracket, got the actuator, I guess you'd call it a mounting bracket, feedback control arm, and the actual feedback arm, and then all the bolting. Anyhow, so to start with the mounting process, we got to pull these front two, these are 5/16 bolts, and if you're man enough you can do them just by hand like me. If not, you'll have to use a 1/2-inch wrench. Hang on to these bolts because you're going to be reusing them with this bracketry. So I'm just going to set these right here, and then we're going to come over here to the this is just an angle iron bracket. However, the way it mounts, you have to put the bolts through first. You'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. Alright, so now you just got to reinstall your two 5/16 bolts. They're plenty long enough. And then tighten them up. Okay. All right. Next, we've got some spacers to space off the actual positioner mounting bracket. Okay. Grab that. Hang on one second. Let me get the other one on. All right. Put our washer on. Nut. Alright, now just two 1/2-inch wrenches. I'm just going to start off with the bracket slid all the way over. So I just tighten one, and I'm just going to pry this up until it's nice and level with the actuator. Alright, so that's all good and level. Now we're going to go ahead and mount our positioner, and it mounts on these 4 holes. And those are M6 by 1mm pitch. Thanks Siemens for making it metric. Anyhow, I'm gonna zoom in on the back of there. This one in particular mounts on the lower holes. It's going to be the very bottom and then 2 up the next set. These will need a 10mm wrench to tighten up. And as always, you want to make sure it looks fairly straight, and maybe snug one and then take a look at it. All right. Like so. Alright, next we want to mount our feedback arm. our feedback arm has 2 Allen set screws. They're hard to see, but let's see, where'd my Allen wrench go? There it is. Anyhow, the feedback arm, you want to install it with this flat right here, kind of angle back so that it lines up with this Allen set screw. I'm just going to touch them down right quick, and then I'll go back and tighten them, turning the Allen wrench the other way. Okay. All right. And for reference sake, that is a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. All right, next we've got our connecting blocks. So pull the bolts out of our connecting blocks, and we're just going to separate the 2 halves and come up here on the actuator stem. I'm going to come pretty far up, leave a little gap between the bottom of the actuator and the connecting block. And then these bolts here are 1/4 20, so you're going to need a 7/16 wrench or socket to tighten them up, but I have a feeling y'all may not have enough room for a socket, but a wrench will work just fine. Same thing on tightening this up. You want this connecting block to be pointing straight and square with the positioner. Just snug them up. Okay. Now that this is all good and square, we've got to install our feedback linkage. So this is another 1/4 20 bolt. So it's going to take 2 7/16 wrenches. Let's see if I can't lose any of this. And I'm just going to stick the bolt through. All right. For now, I'm just going to slide this all the way out to the end and just tighten it up. I'm sure it'll probably calibrate just fine right there. Okay. Now all we have to do is pull this bolt out of the connecting block. Line up our feedback arm. Now we're just going to tighten this up. And these are both bearings, rod-end bearings, so you don't have to worry about how much you tighten them. Just tighten them up good and snug. Next, I'm going to hook up my supplied air. And for this actuator in particular, it's 3 to 15 psi. So I'm going to set the regulator at 20 psi. Just a little bit over the set point. Okay. And I gotta bend a piece of tubing. Alright, so now that it's mounted, you got your supply port connected and your output going to your actuator, that completes the installation of the Siemens positioner onto the actuator. And in our next video, we'll discuss calibration.